Batman has always been one of the darkest superheroes in pop culture. Ever since his first appearance in Detective Comics back in 1939, he has been portrayed as a character who thrives in shadows, uses fear as a weapon, and faces villains who often feel more terrifying than traditional comic book bad guys. Unlike Superman or Spider-Man, who are usually shown in brighter and more hopeful tones, Batman's world has always been about crime, pain, tragedy, and the horror that hides behind Gotham's broken streets. And when it comes to his cinematic history, filmmakers have leaned into this dark side in different ways, giving us plenty of creepy and unsettling scenes that feel more like horror movies than superhero blockbusters. Over the decades, every Batman film has delivered at least one moment that makes the audience shiver, gasp, or feel truly uneasy. From Tim Burton's gothic nightmares to Christopher Nolan's psychological darkness and Matt Reeves' raw horror, Batman movies have evolved to become scarier with each passing era. Let's dive into the scariest moments in every Batman movie, ranked and explained in detail. When Tim Burton's Batman hit theaters in 1989, it was a massive change from the colorful and campy version of Batman that most people remembered from the Adam West TV series. Burton wanted to create a Gotham that felt eerie, twisted, and detached from reality. The atmosphere itself was creepy, but the most shocking part of the movie came with the birth of Jack Nicholson's Joker. Unlike the comics, where the Joker's origins were often left mysterious, Burton gave him a backstory as Jack Napier, a ruthless thug. The horrifying transformation happens when Jack falls into a vat of acid after being scarred and beaten. Watching his disfigured face, manic laughter, and eventual rebirth as the Joker is a disturbing sequence, especially because it mixes both camp and grotesque horror. The acid bath scene is the stuff of nightmares, and while Nicholson's performance leaned into dark humor, the sheer idea of someone melting away into madness gave the world one of the creepiest villain origin scenes in superhero cinema. Burton doubled down on the horror elements in Batman Returns. While the movie is remembered for its gothic visuals and Danny DeVito's monstrous penguin, one of the scariest and most unforgettable moments is Selina Kyle's transformation into Catwoman. Michelle Pfeiffer plays Selina, who is pushed out of a window by her evil boss Max Schreck, played by Christopher Walken. The fall itself is brutal, but what follows is even creepier. Lying broken in an alley, Selina is suddenly surrounded by stray cats who seemingly bring her back to life, clawing and biting her in a scene that feels more like something out of a supernatural thriller than a superhero film. Her transformation into Catwoman is both tragic and terrifying, setting the tone for her dark, unstable personality. Pfeiffer's unhinged performance sells the horror even further, making it one of the standout chilling moments in all of Batman's movie history. Joel Schumacher's Batman Forever may be remembered for its neon visuals and lighter tone, but even this campier version of Batman had a shocking and scary moment. Tommy Lee Jones' Two-Face was a loud and over-the-top villain, but he was also cruel, and this cruelty was shown in one of the darkest sequences of the film. During a circus performance, Two-Face interrupts the Flying Grayson's act by setting off chaos and threatening everyone with a giant bomb. The tension builds as Dick Grayson's family tries to stop the disaster, but ultimately, his parents and brother die in a tragic fall. Watching their lifeless bodies hit the ground is brutal, and the way it scars Dick forever adds emotional weight to the horror. For a movie that often leaned toward cartoonish fun, this scene stood out as genuinely dark and heartbreaking, cementing itself as one of the most disturbing moments in Schumacher's era of Batman films. The camp reached its peak in Batman and Robin, often criticized as one of the worst superhero movies ever made. Ooh. Despite its cheesy tone, Uma Thurman's Poison Ivy gets a chilling origin moment. Before she becomes the seductive villain, she is just Pamela Isley, a scientist working under the manipulative Dr. Jason Woodrue. After being betrayed, Pamela is attacked and exposed to chemicals, leading to her transformation. What makes the scene creepy is what follows. Poison Ivy, now fully reborn, kills Dr. Woodrue by seducing and poisoning him. The combination of seduction, betrayal, and death makes the moment stand out. Even though the rest of the movie feels goofy, this transformation shows a glimpse of true horror lurking beneath the colorful chaos. When Christopher Nolan rebooted the franchise with Batman Begins, he steered Batman into a much darker and grounded direction. One of the scariest villains Nolan introduced was Cillian Murphy's Scarecrow, a doctor who uses fear toxins to plunge his victims into their worst nightmares. The scariest moment comes when Scarecrow's fear gas is turned on himself, and we see Batman through his drugged perspective. Instead of the hero we know, Scarecrow sees Batman as a terrifying demon, his eyes glowing, his mouth oozing black liquid, and his presence more horrifying than any monster in a horror film. The imagery is shocking, unsettling, and perfectly captures the essence of Batman as a symbol of fear. It's a moment that shows Nolan's genius in blending superhero storytelling with psychological horror. If Batman Begins gave us a taste of horror, The Dark Knight delivered it in full force, thanks to Heath Ledger's Joker. Ledger's performance is already terrifying because of how unpredictable and deranged he is, but one scene in particular feels like it could come straight out of a found footage horror movie. The Joker kidnaps a man dressed as Batman and forces him to record a hostage video. The shaky camera, the Joker's mocking tone, and his sudden bursts of violence make it chillingly realistic. Watching the hostage beg for his life while Joker plays with the situation like a game is deeply unsettling. This scene captures why Ledger's Joker is so terrifying. He isn't just a criminal mastermind, he's a sadistic force of chaos who treats human lives like toys. Many fans and critics still consider this one of the scariest and most disturbing moments in superhero movie history. Nolan's trilogy ended with The Dark Knight Rises, which brought Tom Hardy's Bane to the big screen. While Bane was less about psychological horror and more about physical dominance, there is one sequence that stands out as frightening: Bruce Wayne's imprisonment in the pit. After Bane breaks Batman both physically and mentally, he leaves him in a deep underground prison where escaping seems impossible. The setting itself feels hopeless, but the scariest part is watching Bruce attempt to climb out, failing and nearly falling to his death. The chance of the prisoners, the darkness of the pit, and the despair of the situation create an atmosphere that feels suffocating. The fear isn't about monsters or villains. It's about hopelessness, and that makes it terrifying in a different but powerful way. The DCEU gave us Ben Affleck's Batman, and while his version never got a solo movie, he did deliver one of the scariest sequences in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Known as the nightmare scene, this sequence is essentially a vision of Batman's worst fears coming true. In the dream, Superman becomes a tyrant, ruling Earth with brutal force. The imagery is intense. Desert wastelands, soldiers in Superman's symbol, and Batman captured and beaten. The horror peaks when Superman himself rips open Batman's chest, killing him in the vision. The entire sequence plays out like a post-apocalyptic horror short film, shocking audiences who weren't expecting such a dark twist in the middle of a superhero movie. Finally, we arrive at Matt Reeves, the Batman, which easily takes the crown for being the scariest Batman movie overall. Paul Dano's Riddler is not the goofy puzzle maker from older versions. He's a sadistic serial killer inspired by real-life horror. His murders are gruesome, his puzzles are disturbing, and his presence feels chilling throughout the film. The scariest moment comes during the funeral scene, where the Riddler straps a bomb to a hostage and forces him to deliver a message. The tension is unbearable as Batman tries to help, but the hopelessness of the situation is crushing. Earlier in the movie, the Riddler's first kill, smothering a politician in his own home while his family sleeps nearby, sets the tone for just how horrifying this version of Gotham really is. Reeves' film leans into detective noir and psychological thriller vibes, but the way the Riddler executes his plans makes it feel closer to a horror movie than any superhero film before it. Looking back, it's clear that Batman movies have always had an element of fear at their core. From Burton's gothic nightmares to Nolan's psychological terrors and Reeves' chilling realism, Batman's world is one where horror and heroism often walk hand in hand. What makes these moments so effective is that they tap into different types of fear, whether it's fear of death, fear of madness, fear of hopelessness, or fear of chaos. And that's what keeps Batman so unique among superheroes. He isn't just fighting villains. He's fighting the darkest parts of human nature. And sometimes, those battles are scarier than any monster movie could ever be.